Good morning. Thanks to everyone who's showed up today for Kermit Smith's media availability. Coach Smith is entering his 10th season leading the App State baseball program, which just wrapped up its fall season playing outside competition against North Carolina A&T and ECU. The team will begin their spring season in mid-February, and that schedule will be announced in mid-November. Coach Smith will begin with an opening statement, and then he'll take questions.
Thanks, Matt, and thanks to everyone for being here today. But yeah, we wrapped up our fall last Sunday in an exhibition against Eastern Carolina University. We have a little bit of a different fall this fall than we've had in years past. Obviously, you guys might be aware of that, just seeing where we finished the fall timeline. We decided to start baseball work a little bit earlier. Normally, we go about 5 weeks of strength and conditioning, getting back into our rhythm. And this week we kind of brought that up a little bit, almost to the tune of about 3 weeks. We started a little bit early. And the mindset on that is in the period that we're in currently to give ourselves 1 full month before we go home for Thanksgiving, to be in the weight room, to make small adjustments or tweaks in someone's delivery or someone's swing or, how they're fielding a ground ball or arm strength or whatever one area that we wanted to address is. So we wanted to give that good 4 weeks of work on the back end of our fall for the things that we found. And honestly, I love the timeline. It was something that my staff brought to me. It was something that I think when you do something a certain way for a long enough period of time as a coach, you have some questions about how you're going to like that new format. But a lot of credit to Coach Johnson, Coach Steedley, and Coach Blackman for kind of bringing that idea to the forefront, and our player development staff just kind of bringing that to light. And a lot of moving parts with that. Obviously, you've got your strength and conditioning aspect of it. You got your training room aspect of it. You've got guys that are coming in from all different periods over the summer. Some guys are playing, some guys are just in the weight room. So really just as we kind of came into the fall to almost kind of bring your fall up 3 weeks from a traditional sense, it's a lot of moving parts, so a lot of credit to a lot of people there. But yeah, I like our group, and I know you guys have some specific questions about our group, and I'm excited to answer them.
David Ware, 24/7 Sports. Kermit, I saw both scrimmages throughout and kept some stats. I won't swear to the total accuracy of them, but in general, the offense was something that really didn't waver very much across all, 25 innings, basically, that you guys played. I had you hitting 365 collectively, slugged around 640. Pretty impressive with the bats. What was your general assessment of offense across the 2 scrimmages?
Well, I think as just a foundational belief in, I say Britt and I, but our entire coaching staff, but Britt and I have been together for 16 years now. One of our foundational beliefs is like you're coaching everyone. Right, like so we don't go into a fall or we don't go into a spring and say our leadoff hitter's got to be a good hitter. We go into the fall or the spring and say how do we make that individual the best he can be. I'm answering your question. I promise I'm getting there. So with that foundational belief, and you say 25 innings, right, to basically 12 inning scrimmages. What we wanted to see is a collective approach to what it is that we coach, right? Like what approach are we in that certain moment, right? Is there a runner in scoring position? Is there nobody on, nobody out? Is there nobody on 2 outs? What is the guy throwing on the mound? And what I walked away from, probably more so than the literal statistics, is we felt like each guy walked up to the plate in their situation and tried to apply the approach that we had in. And baseball's a very unique game. I mean, not very much different than anything else, that it doesn't, just because you're in the right approach doesn't mean that you're always successful in that. But we got to see a lot of people in a lot of different situations. And throughout those, because really nobody played all 25 of those innings. So you're seeing a lot of different people and a lot of moving parts and a lot of people at different positions, a lot of people hitting in a different part of the lineup in a specific inning. So I think my takeaway, aside from those specific numbers, is I thought the application to the approach that they were supposed to be in at that moment, they did a good job of that.
One of the big differences I noted between the A&T scrimmage and the ECU is and this is a great thing. A&T gave you some free passes. You had some walks in that game. Your guys took advantage of that. ECU's a little different. We understand the kind of pitching quality and depth that they have. they really challenged you. They were going to make you hit the ball, and you guys were, again, able to do that. In facing that kind of competitive pitching this early, what was it you talked about your approach at the plate. What did you guys take to the plate against ECU in particular?
Yeah, I think number one, a big takeaway is you're always fighting for buy-in from your players, right? Like you want to know that they're bought into you, and you want to know that they know that you're bought into them. So I think anytime that you can leave two scrimmages where you see a lot of different stuff, a guy that may be breaking ball heavy, or a guy that may be changeup heavy, or a guy that's got a split finger, or a guy that's got a slider, or a guy that's just fastball heavy and he's low to mid 90s or mid to upper 90s. If you're covering all of those speeds and all of those things in a good way, in the correct way, then it gives you the opportunity to like go into this segment that we're in this month of November with a lot of buy-in. So I think that's probably what it created. But yes, to see, both teams I thought did a really good job. I didn't know where you were going with the biggest difference of the two games. One we played till midnight, and the other one we fortunately started at noon, and we didn't have to play till midnight. But no, I thought there was a lot of good takeaways from what we were able to cover from all of those things. And that's what you want in the fall. In your fall, we get 2 outside competition dates for people that don't know that. We wanted to see as big of a range as we could, right? We wanted to see, again, those same analogies I just gave you, a guy that's going to go breaking ball forward to a guy that's going to be, heavy fastball, and see what you got. But again, I thought from inning 1 to 25, and regardless of where we were in the lineup or who was hitting, I thought we were trying to apply the approach that was in place. But great question.
Pitching-wise, you kind of expect to see some variance there. Mm-hmm. Different guys are at different places, especially this early. In particular, you had 4 new arms that really performed well on both sides of the scrimmages. But where did you feel like you came out of it pitching-wise? What are the understandings you have now that you'll, again, to your point, continue to apply over the next month?
Yeah, the one thing you'll never see in the fall, you'll never see like a 5-inning outing. So I think that you're always going to leave the fall with, we feel like these are the guys that we need to prepare to be starters in the spring. So I think that's the one question you probably always leave the fall with, no matter what year you're in. But I thought we saw enough from a few guys that were like, okay, that is probably a guy that will fit into one of the starting spots. And obviously our starting spots would be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday. Okay, so a lot of times, a lot of seasons, you'll go in sometimes to a Tuesday game and you won't name a traditional starter. You might name an opener. So I think you've got all of those things going through your head, like right this second, right, like watching the 25 innings unfold. And then we've still got some guys that didn't touch the mound during those scrimmages. Again, kind of back to pushing our timeline up this fall, and the story that I told at the front end of this is a lot of those guys weren't ready to walk in and go about their business, whether they're coming off an injury, or whether they're coming off playing over the summer, or whether they're coming off something that popped up throughout the fall. So we've got about 5 guys there that did not throw a pitch to a hitter this fall. We're also very excited about those guys and how they could intertwine into that. So that's what's always going through your head. But kind of back to process and back to, what was the approach that they were in that I was given from the hitting side is regardless of what the situation was that we were in, right? Well, let's just say we just kicked a double play ball or what have you. I thought we kept pitching. Right, and I thought what I saw from those guys in those 25 innings, if you're listening to the dugout, it's very evident what's kind of going on with our pitching staff. They're very aggressive. Right, the communication that's coming from our dugout to the guy that's on the mound is like, hey, go get him, right? Like, go attack. And you can see that and feel that even with the guy that's on the mound, right? So kind of the same analogy I gave you with the position players when you're giving me those stats is like, okay, but are they trying to apply what we're trying to do in the moment? What I'm watching from our pitching staff is regardless of the scenario, they walked a guy or hit a guy or a guy reached that maybe shouldn't have reached or a blue pit or an error behind them, the next pitch is just aggressive, right? The mindset is just aggressive. And I'm loving what I'm seeing from that side of it. And you can hear it if you listen to our dugout while it's going on, but you can also feel it and see it when they're on the mound. So something I really took away from the fall from our pitching staff.
David Rogers, High Country Sports. We're in the middle of the World Series, but I'll refrain from asking you if you have a favorite. But
Go Blue Jays. Yeah.
You mentioned that baseball is a unique game. The transfer portal and NIL and all that has hit every sport perhaps a little bit differently. How has that all impacted baseball at App State uniquely?
Yeah, so I think we've probably all got our own ways of dealing with it, right? So I've been here, obviously this is my 10th year, as Matt said earlier, and as we've kind of gone through the process of it kind of started with COVID, and okay, here's an extra year for everybody. Then it went into giving those guys back a year of eligibility, and then it went into NIL, and then it went into one-time transfer rule, and like that area right there, just to navigate that first summer of everything happening, it was a lot, right? Where I've come to peace with this, right, is for absolutely until hopefully June of this year, I've got 37 guys that I have the opportunity to impact, right? I've got an opportunity to help them be better baseball players, got an opportunity to help them be better people, got to have an opportunity to emulate what I feel like means to be a good husband and a good father, and to help them and show them all of the great things of Boone, North Carolina and Appalachian State University. I don't want to waste one of those days, right? So for those 9 months, those 10 months that this 2026 team is on our campus, they're going to get everything I got, right? So that is how it has impacted me the most. It's not about who's leaving. It's not about who's staying. It's not about any of that. It's about that I got 37 guys in my locker room right now, and they're going to get as raw and authentic Kermit Smith as they can possibly get. And they're going to get our coaching staff, and they're going to get my very best every day. And at the end of the day, that's what I've been put here to do.
Alora Sharp, women's basketball coach. Coach, Western Michigan is coming to town on Monday for the women's basketball home opener. What are the keys to the win?
Obviously, they've got a first-year coach, Kate Actor. The things that we see in just kind of that style. Number one, they got an all-conference shot blocker returning. So I think we got to attack her early, right? Like maybe we even see if we can get her in some foul trouble. We got to defend the dribble. I mean, that's an absolute. But just overall in the group, like I think to a certain degree, you go into it and you worry about the opponent to a certain degree. There's always a scouting report, but you got to do what you do, right? And you got to be who we are. So I want to make sure our club knows when we walk out there that we're going to be ourselves.
You're speaking my language now. What should the fans know about this specific women's basketball team?
Number one, exciting. They should be excited to walk into homes and watch a team that's going to be passionate about what they do. And I've always felt this, Coach, and I don't know if you're with me on this, but we, and I know you well enough to say this, is like we expect our teams to play hard, right? But we expect our teams to work hard, right? And when you marry those two, like why are we going to go work hard if we're not going to play hard, right? And why would you play hard? And I tell our team this every day, is like you play hard because it's the best strategy to win the game, right? Like that's why you do it. Like any scouting report, anything else, we're gonna work hard, right? If you came in, you're asking a question, what do they expect when they walk into homes? What would they expect if they walked in our weight room? What would they expect if they walked in, to our training facility? What would they expect us to work hard, right? But we're going to work hard so we can go play hard so that we can be an exciting brand of basketball when they come out to see us. Thanks for being here.
Dylan Shepard, the Appalachian. Coach, you often talk about over the last couple of seasons about it being a positionless team, a positionless lineup. Mm-hmm. How have you seen that in action over these past couple of games in the fall season with the newcomers, with the transfers and freshmen?
What's really interesting in you asking that question is I haven't talked about it a whole lot this fall. I actually caught myself the other day wondering if it's something that I should, start communicating about. And my rationale and my reason to have not done it, as I asked myself that very same question, is that we've just been so focused on the process. We've just been so focused on teaching the way that we do it. And this time of year, just to give you a little bit deeper question, like you're trying, and a little bit of the hesitation and, that I had with my staff and moving our fall up is there's so much you're trying to implement, right? Like, so if you have those extra 3 weeks at the beginning, you can walk into your inner squad in live action a little bit more prepared. And so when we cut that down, we're teaching the swing, we're making swing adjustments, we're making training adjustments, we're making body adjustments, we're talking to these guys about eating, sleeping, everything else. And we're also talking to them about, okay, what is our approach with runners in scoring position? What is our approach with the runner on third base, less than 2 outs with the infield in? What is our approach with nobody on, nobody out against this specific pitcher? So when you're talking all of those things consistently, I think my answer is I didn't want to complicate it in that. And through that, there's enough returning, right? Cam Miller being a big part of it because he's just so vocal. I think he helps transcend that. So whether that's been said, which it will be between now and mid-February, but it hasn't been said a whole lot this fall, which is kind of interesting. But I still see it. And I still feel it. Back to David's stats there that he was given about how the 25 innings went, right? I think if you walked in and watched us at any point, my response to him was just, we wanted to see our guys in that situation try to apply what it is that we do. And I saw that a lot. So those same qualities, even though I haven't said that a ton this fall, but I appreciate you remembering that because I do think that that's a foundational part of who our lineup is and who we want to be. But you're going to see a big part of it because we got some moving parts this year. We've got some guys that are going to move around a little bit and play some different positions. And guy goes from DH to first to DH, first to third, some different things like that. So I appreciate you asking that.
New pitching coach this season in the form of Heath Blackman. What have those conversations been like with him? You talked about the philosophy on the mound of being aggressive. What have those conversations been like between you and Coach Blackman?
Yeah, I think, and Coach Sharp could attest to this as well. I don't think it's ever just a conversation about one thing. Like your entire coaching staff's involved in every conversation that you have. So whether you're talking about defense or you're talking about offense or you're talking about a catcher or talking about an infielder, it's still a collective decision. But probably exactly what I just said about what I'm seeing from our pitching staff. He is very aggressive. He is an alpha, and he wants to attack hitters, and he wants to do that through our pitching staff, right? So the things that he's feeding into them and promoting with them every day, from their work on their catch play day, their work on their bullpen day, their work in the weight room, and I think that's a big part of it as well, right? Like you don't just go practice a certain way, kind of back to why do you work hard? You work hard so you can play hard, and you play hard because it's the best strategy to win the game, okay? But if you're not feeding it in the weight room, right, like that same mentality, right, if you're not feeding that aggressiveness there, then you're not going to have it. So I think he believes in that. I think he believes in the development of the whole pitcher. And yeah, I think those conversations have been based in that A word, that aggressive word, that alpha word, like the guy that's going to go take the mound, like we're going to go try and get after the hitter.
Heading into your 10th season coaching the App State Mountaineers, what does that milestone mean to you as a coach and as just a person, and how would you reflect on your time here leading App State?
That's a really good question. I think anybody that's been around me knows how much it means for me to put that uniform on. It's a really, really special place with really, really special people. To think about a decade in one spot, and I talked kind of about the transfer portal earlier, but just like all of the things that have been navigated through the last 10 years, all of the major changes. We've seen more changes in the NCAA in the last 10 years, and heck, we might even see it in the next, we've seen it in the last 5 years, honestly, just with, once it started at COVID, it's a completely different game than it was when I started here, specifically when I started coaching 26 years ago. So it means a ton. The Black and Gold is a really, really special place to me. You get intertwined with the alumni, and you get intertwined with the people that work here, and you get intertwined with the Boone community, and I think that's just such a huge part of it. And for people who don't know the connection between the town and the university, it's it's incredible, right? And it's an incredible place to raise kids. It's an incredible place to live. It's an incredible place to work and incredible people to work with. Yeah, it means a lot to me, regardless of whether it's 10 years, 20 years, 2 years, but to be here for a decade and to have the honor of leading this baseball program with all the great players that have played here and all the great coaches that have coached here, it means a ton. I appreciate you asking that.
Kermit, you mentioned some pitchers who had sat out fall ball for different reasons. One of them we know is Caleb Marks, who was to open last year, your Saturday starter, had surgery in the offseason. Where is he in his recovery process, and what would your prognosis be going into the season?
Yeah, he's doing great. I mean, he's really crushing it. And I think even if you ask Caleb this question, I think that sometimes you don't know why things happen, right? But it's very clear, the journey that he is on now. Like he is leading some of those aggressive comments. He is leading some of those aggressive work ethics and showing a lot of leadership, to be honest with you. But if you remember Liam Best's timeline last year, I would say it's a very similar timeline. Now, will we treat it the same way? Obviously, they're two different individuals, but exact same surgery timeline. So Liam last year, just to give a frame of reference, I think he closed game one. So in other words, regardless of whether you're talking about closing or what have you, he started the year with smaller segments, right? And we didn't bounce him back too quick. We weren't going to go close on Friday, close on Saturday, 10 months off surgery, right? So, but I thought I don't know whether we just played him or whether we just treated it the way it needed to be treated. But I mean, he's starting down the stretch, 3 or 4 starts, maybe even 5 starts down the stretch, and healthy and drafted in the 19th round. So I thought we handled that timeline correctly. But again, they're two different individuals. But that's a similar timeline. He will be ready to start the season. Will he start the season 120 pitch ready? Probably not. That's probably not the smart thing to do. But he will be able to start the season with us, and how we transition from mid-February to again hopefully June. That will be time will tell.
Any other questions for Coach Smith? All right. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, guys.